Fish, fish, fish. That was on a mixture of lug and rag, and that has slimed my line right up. A friend of mine once said to me, this is Tony, friend of mine Tony, he said once you've got eel slime on your snood, always change it. And the logic is that eel slime is from a predatory fish. Well, I've got something on here, not quite the conger I was getting earlier. Anyway, well, good morning. We are back down Brighton Marina, and it's a bit of a blustery day, but a 15-mile-an-hour wind, so it's not too bad. Just a bit fresh to keep you cool, so I've got the jumper back on today. And my main target is plaice again. I was hoping to be able to get further up the arm, but they're doing some repair work, so I can't get on the bays where the sole have been coming out, sadly. But I'm also going to try scratching around with one of the bream rigs again close in. So let's take a look at the baits for the day. All in my bigger bait pack today. I've only got fresh bait with me. We have, most important thing to keep cool, my lunch. Let's get that out of the way. I have 5 wraps of lovely fresh black lug, so thank you Becky for sending me those in the post. And I got some king rag here. Let's take a look at these. These were delivered to me yesterday. So a few rag there with a bit of peat on them. They look a little bit past their best actually, but hopefully they'll still be all right for today's session. So let's see how we get on. So we've looked at the bait, we talked about what species I'm targeting. Let's take a look at one of my rigs. So as per usual for the marina, the rig is attached to my Zenon C6 low diameter rod with my trusty Shimano fixable. Now normally if you watch my videos you'll see I like to use 2-hook rigs a lot, unless I'm fishing for the summer species. But today I've actually knocked up a 3-hook rig that I'm using for targeting the plaice. This is just a 3-hook flapper, and it's 2 up, 1 down. And we've got a snood length there of about 20 inches. And I've got my size 2 saltwater supermatch hook down there, loaded with fresh lug. No bait stops needed on this because it's a flapper rig. And then the other top 2 snoods are also 20 inches long. Same size hook, size 2 super matches, loaded with those fresh lug. So I'm going to get this one chucked out. So because this is a flapper rig, I'm not going to cast it quite as far. Just going to do a gentle flick, see if we can pick some plaice up a little bit closer in. And we're good to go. So that's sent out about 50 yards, see what we can pick up there. Well, I'm just reeling in my first chuck. And either I've got a lot of rot on here or something else, because this is heavy. So it's moving. Got it moving. The tide and half ripping at the moment as well. When I get close to the edge I might have to just move out of shot for a second, because the guy in the next bay has lines in front of me, 3 of them in fact. Let's just see if I can swing that over. Right, I'm going to have to go up there. So there we go, a bit of tanglage sorted out. But look, something's had a munch on that. No bait left. Hopefully that's not a sign of a crab. Top hook. Maybe something sucked on that. Anyway, let's get some fresh baits put on. I haven't got around to getting a spare rig out yet, but let's get these worms ready. So there we go, there's 2 lug there on the baiting needle ready to go. So I'll take this lug off the top hook. If the next one comes in looking like that, I'll probably just stick a little bit of bait elastic on to hold it in place better. Oops. Just a little tiny bit above the eye of the hook. It stops it sliding down like that. Anyway, let's get this one on. Move the bait stop up a little bit, make a bit more room. There we go. That's one hook done. And let's get the next one good to go. This one, the bait stop might be a little bit too high. So there we go, get that in a good position. Just go and pop my baiting needle back down and we get that clipped up. So I reset the grip lead. It's again 6-ounce grips, big tide pull around here. In fact, even my 6-ounce grips aren't holding very well. So it's not surprising that the guy in the next bay has his lines in front of me, because there's one hell of a rip out there at the moment. There we go, clipped up, good to go. We'll get it whacked out. So because the rip is running left to right, I'm going to stand on the left end of this bay and get this cast out. There we go, we're back fishing. Let's see if we can get that plaice. So we're going to take a look at my second rod that I chucked out with that 3/8 flapper. It did actually look like I had a little tap on it, but the grip lead's not holding very well at the moment with this tide rip. So anyway, let's see if it feels like there's anything on it. That's pulled right down to the left. Oh, we've got what looks like a bit of rot on the line, on the leader knot. No fish. Well, there we go. Those baits are untouched, but I'm going to stick on some rag instead to try that. So I'll strip those bits of lug off. I actually made a bit of a mistake earlier when I described this rig. I said it was my 3/8 flapper with 20-inch snoods. Well, they're actually a bit shorter than that. They are about 12 inches. So apologies. I've got another one with me that's 20 inches in case I want to switch it up a little bit later and try something different. So I'm actually going to put quite a few rag on each hook here. So I've just chucked 3 smallish rag on that one. This one's a bit of a bigger rag, so I'll only stick 2 on this time. Get them slid up the baiting needle. I always like to use a baiting needle, so I think it gives slightly better bait presentation than if I thread them up the hooks myself. So these 2 are going to go on the bottom hook, just like so. And then I've got 3 more slightly smaller ones that we're going to stick up the top. Oops. Dropping a bit of tail. There we go. Ragworms. Good to go. Juicy baits to get chucked out. So let's see if these lovely juicy worms can pick us up a fish. I realise I've probably got the sun behind me a little bit, but there's not a lot of space to film down here, especially when there's quite a few other people around. But anyway, the most important thing is we're out fishing. And the baits are back in the water. I just had a quick look on the Brighton Marina webpage on Facebook, and it looks like someone had a lovely bass out this morning. So that's a really good sign. That's probably because there's a bit of chop on the sea today. Always does help bring the bass on a feed a little bit. Anyway, I'm going to keep trying to catch that plaice. Well, I thought it was time for a little update. I have been fishing for nearly 1 hour. There's quite a lot of people down the wall today, but I haven't seen a single fish come up over the side. Now, there's still plenty of time left. It's 2.5 hours till high tide. High tide's at midday. I'm probably going to fish till maybe 2 o'clock. But if things don't pick up here, say in the next hour, I might actually just try shifting bay and going a bit closer to the entrance area, to the arm, to see if we can pick something up down there. I'm going to try my hardest, try different tactics, still keep seeing if we can pick something up. But yeah, it's certainly slow session so far. But they can't all be hectic. And the main thing is, it's beats sitting at home, so I'm happy to be down here. Let's see if we can pick a fish up. Well, time to check the baits again. It's been over an hour. I did a little update just now after I've been fishing for an hour. A bit slow, to be honest, as I just said. So I'm going to have one more chuck in this bay, and then I'm going to reflect on how things are going, and if I feel like it, I might move back down the arm a bit. But it's definitely not hectic. I really thought it would actually fish better today because the tides are bigger. But there's still plenty of time left in the session. There's an awful lot of rot about today. which certainly isn't going to help matters. It's far worse than it was when I was down here a few days ago. The sea is like pea soup. Right, I'll just get this line up. There we go. So again, look at that, untouched baits. So yeah, nothing showing any interest in that. So I've stripped the bait off those hooks and I've got my 2 next lug ready to go, and I've got a little tiny rag that I'm going to tip one off. So let's move the camera a bit closer, take a look at what I'm doing. So this is my 18-inch loop rig, not my 3-hook flapper that I've got on the other rod. Oops, the worm's escaping off the bait needle. It's quite a big lug, this. So I'm going to put the bigger lug on the bottom hook. So we get that nicely slid up and around there. That's going to need the bait stop moved up, so I'll just do that. There we go, so that's nicely on. And then the smaller lug is going on the top hook. There we go. And just this tiny little piece of rag, I'm just going to tip that off. Slide that around. And there we go, bait's good to go. So I'm going to get that clipped up, chuck back out. So there we go, nice juicy baits ready to go. And it'd be nice if a fish thought they looked juicy too. So let's get these bad boys out. There we go. Back out in the sea goes the fish's tea. Well guys, a sign of something going on. My left-hand rod here has got the 3-hook flapper on and the line keeps going a little bit slack. It might just be that the tide's easing off, although the other rod is still nice and tight, so I suspect it's not that. But so when the line goes slack, it can mean a fish has just moved the lead a little bit. So we're going to take a look and see if there's anything on here. Let's see. Certainly a bit of May rot. Only on the leader knot though, so that's not too bad. And have we got a fish? No, but it does look like something has munched that bottom hook. Oops. Look at that. Something has definitely had a chew on those ragworms. Anyway, I've got lug ready to go out on this one on my bait needle. So again, I'll strip the bait off, get the lug stuck on and whack it back out. So there we go. Baiting needle loaded with 3 slightly smaller bits of lug. So first up, I'm going to put a piece on the bottom hook, which I've stripped that rag off. Oops, wrong end of the bait needle. Strip that rag off. So this is going to be quite a small bait. Get that up the hook properly. There we go. Little tiny, like 1-inch long bit that. And then the other 2 hooks, the ragworm was pretty untouched. So I'm just going to top those up with another piece of small lug. See if a cocktail, a rag and lug cocktail, can pick up that fish, just switching things up a little bit. Keep those experiments going. Nip that bit of tangly tail off. I never like a bit of bait dangling when I'm fishing like this for the plaice, because I want them to suck it into their mouth and not off the hook. Anyway, I'm going to get these ones whacked back out. Nice and close in again, about 50 yards. So the only thing left to do, I've baited up. Just got to reset the grip lead. Very important when a tide's ripping like this. Oops. Get that line untangled. And we're good to go. There we go, 3-hook flapper. Oh, I'm not very happy with that bait presentation on the bottom. Let's just sort that out. And we're good to get it chucked back out. There we go, not too far out, but hopefully that'll find a fish. Well, still nothing happening. The warden's just come round and he says the lower bays are empty. So when I reel these guys in, we're going to shift down the wall and see if we can pick something up down there. Well, a few minutes ago, after threatening to move bays, I actually had a very tentative little tap on the right hand rod. I'm still going to move bays, but let's get this reeled in and see if there's anything on the end. So let's take a look. It's alright. Well, there's no fish. Just a little bit of a tangle. How on earth has that done that, eh? There we go. So, was there a bite? Well, hard to say. Maybe the top hook's had something. Yeah, something's had a go at the top hook there. Let's take a little look at that. Look at that. Something has munched on that worm. Anyway, I'm going to get the other one reeled in and then I'm going to shift down the arm. So, I've moved bays. Got to keep trying mixing it up. Going to start a new wrap of lug. And you might notice here I've got it in cling film. This is fresh lug, but the best way to keep it fresh, and I've been given this advice by my friend Joe, is to keep it wrapped in cling film and make sure the paper's dry. It's when they get wet is when they start to go squidgy, and air getting to them is what helps them decompose. So nice dry worms, kept the air off, and these should be good. I'll probably, if I've got the ones I've got left, I'll change the paper tomorrow, keep that paper nice and dry. You can still see these are lovely worms, and they've kept really well like that in my fridge. So anyway, time to get some more bait back on the rigs, and let's give this lower bay a try. Always give that a good tug before I cast out. Certainly don't want line twisted around my rod tip, and let's get it chucked out. So again, just whacking that flapper about 50 yards to see if we can pick up a fish there. And in a minute, I'm going to get my summer species rig out and try chopping that down close in. But first of all, a couple of casts in this bay with the plaice rigs. Well, it's time to check the baits in the new bay. When I reel this one in, I'm going to chuck out my summer species rig so we get a chance to have a look at that. Cool. It can be a bit snaggy down it. Well, we've caught the bottom. See if I can get it out without rubbing the line on the wall. No, we have snapped off. Anyway, I'll tie another clip on the end because this is going to have my summer species rig on down the side. I'm not going to bother sticking a new leader on because I'm only going to be plopping it. So let's take a look at the summer species rig that I've loaded with ragworm. So this is made with 18 pound fluorocarbon, including the rig body to keep it stealthy. And I've got 2 foot snoods on here. The hooks are size 6 saltwater super match. They're all loaded with 3 or 4 ragworm. And the top 2 snoods, I've got those little white pop-ups on. Same at the top there. And I'm just going to slide those down a little bit so they're a bit closer to the bait where I like them. And there we go, that's good to go. So this is going out almost down the side of the wall. Let's hope something takes a liking to these ragworm. In fact, I'm going to cast this so gently. We just want it down there. That's about 10 yards out, even that's probably a little bit too far. Let's see if anything likes them. Well, my change of bays has paid off. Hope I can get this up the side on my little size 6 hook. Is it coming?
Yeah, I think you have to take with the line.
Yeah, I'll have to handball it up. Let a bit of line out.
I hold it for you.
Oh, thank you very much. I'll give it a pull it up. Oh, it's come off. I knew that was a long shot getting it up on my little rig.
Oh, you don't have the
Drop net?
Yeah.
No drop net. That was a conger. Was it about that big? Yeah.
Seen it.
Few pound. But hey, I was using my scratching rig. Well, what are you supposed to do, eh? Fishing for summer species with a little light rig And look, of course that conger's gone straight through that 18-pound hook length. So there was a long shot of getting it up the wall, but at least it was a fish, eh? I did think, oh, my line's gone right up the side of the arm. And there we go, that was what was on the end. But it's a sign there's fish out there. Maybe I should stick a heavier hook length on, eh? I'll see what other rigs I got with me. Anyway, that was on the rag, by the way. That was on my little bunch of ragworm. After the excitement of losing that conger, I've got another rig out because it completely trashed my rig. I was never really had a hope of getting that up the side of the wall using a summer species rig with 18-pound fluorocarbon snoods and size 6 hook. So yeah, it was about 3 feet long. So not a bad size fish, but maybe a smaller one will come along that I've got more chance of landing. Anyway, I've got a new rig out. This one's got 2 foot snoods, 2 hooks, and again I've loaded these with little bunches of ragworm, and it's a 1 up, 1 down rig. So I'm going to get this, drop down the side, see what comes along. And there we go. It's out. So this rod, this is the one I've just dropped down the side, and I did have a little bite on it. So let's keep watching, see if it becomes anything. Just nodding a little bit in the tide. I just tightened that line up a tiny fraction, but I did have a little pluck. Right, I'm going to lift into this, see if there's anything on there. The weight's moved up tide a little bit, which is what happened when the conger struck. Oh, tighten my drag. Yep, we've got another conger. This one's much smaller. A baby one. Whoa, and that one come off as well. Maybe you got a glimpse of it. We'll see when we get back home, when I can look at the footage. But there's definitely fish down the side. So I'm going to get some more bait on this and chuck it back down. I've refreshed the bait, and I'm going to plop this pretty much straight back down. Oops, that doesn't help when the hook goes over the rod. Bait sliding up the line. I'll just sort that presentation out. There we go. It's better. And this is just going to go straight back down. There we have it. Let's see if we can pick up another one. So it's only been back down the side of the wall for a minute. I just had another little knock. I'm just going to lift it up, see if it feels like there's any weight on the end. And if not, I'll pop it straight back down. Oh. Check the bait as well while I'm here. Yeah, bait's still fine. So I'm just going to drop that straight back out. Get that drag set again. And we'll just keep waiting, see if another fish comes along. Well, I was just about to tuck into my lunch, and I've had another knock on this rod I've just dropped straight around the side. Just goes to show you don't always need to be casting big distances or using any sophisticated tactics. Sometimes a rig straight over the edge is just what you need. So I'll keep watching this, just have another bite of my lunch. The sandwich has disintegrated, which doesn't make it very easy to eat. There it goes. There it goes again. Very definite pull downs there. Be nice to actually get one over the wall, wouldn't it? Lost one coming up the side. Lost one just as I was about to swing it over, that little tiny baby one. That was probably about, I don't know, 18 inches long. Maybe a bit less. Right, let's have a look, see if it's on there. My line's gone up tide now. So something's moved with my lead. Nope, still not hooked up. But it's had my bait. Look at that, there was a nice big bunch of ragworm went out there. Virtually every single bit has gone. So, get that topped up again. Send it back out again. I think I'll put fresh bait on the top hook now because that's been down a few times. But there's fish here. So that's a positive sign. Fish, fish, fish. So, I've got rebaited. I'm actually running a bit low on rag, but I've still gone for a nice big bunch there on the bottom hook. And on the top hook, I put one of my lovely fresh lugworm there. So that's good to go back down the side. But that's not bad. I'm only being out a few minutes for each time getting bites. So it just goes to show, just mixing up the tactics to try and find out where the fish are feeding and what they're feeding on is important. I certainly never come out just trying one thing, with probably the exception of when I'm sole or flounder fishing or bassing in the river. There's a few very specific times where I'll just come targeting one specific thing with the tactics that I know are going to work if they're around. But down the marina, anything can happen. Well, I just had another bite on the straight down the side rod. There it goes, definite pull down there. I'll get the drag tightened up a little bit, lift into it. Yeah, yes, this is on it. Oh, that was the bottom actually, but there was definitely something munching on that. Yeah, look, it's had a right go at my ragworm again. Time to get that topped up. God, I've got to keep trying. I need number 3. Hoping it'll be third time lucky getting it up the wall. Well, what can I say? This rod that I've got chucked down the side keeps getting bites. I've got about 4 ragworm left, and that's what I've been getting the bites on. And we had that tiny little strap about that size that got off just as I was about to get it over the wall here. And then the bigger one had a girth of probably about that. And it was about 3 feet long, something like that. That I was never going to get up the side on these little rigs. But I'm still hoping to pick one up. Anyway, once I've used those ragworm, I'll try lug at the bottom and see if that works just as well. But we'll keep trying. I want bite number 3. Well, I've had more than 3 bites. I want hook up number 3. Hook up number 3 and see if we can get it up the side. Wish me luck. Well, I've got a fish on. Yeah. This feels like it might be another one that's bigger to get up. Oh no, it's a little tiny strap, this. Oh, it's off again. Would you believe it? These little congers just aren't taking the bait down enough to get hooked. But hey, that was on a mixture of lug and rag, and that has slimed my line right up. So I'm going to sort that out. I'll put a new snood on, get some fresh bait down there. So I've got some 25-pound amnesia. I'm just going to cut this snood off, put a fresh snood on because it's covered in eel slime. A friend of mine once said to me, this is Tony, friend of mine Tony, he said once you've got eel slime on your snood, always change it. And the logic is that eel slime is from a predatory fish that is going to be a threat to other species. So they can smell that eel slime on your line and they won't come near your bait. The logic makes sense to me. So I'm changing the snood. Actually going with a slightly heavier snood material as well here, in case we get one of the toothy critters, come along. Now I clearly don't want to snood that long. Dropping the spooler line, wind some of that back. I use hair bands on my spooler line to stop them unravelling too much. Wind that back on. So I want a couple of feet, that's what I've been using, that's what's worked. That looks like about 2 feet. Not going to measure it out down here. If I was at home, I'd be measuring it, because I like to know exactly how my rigs are specified. Make them to the spec that I want. Get that snood, a bit of snood line off there. So tie this hook back on. And once I've got this back on, I should get some more bait on. Now I've actually kept those little bits of ragworm that came out the eel's mouth, just in case I want to use them later. I'm not going to put them back on now, because again they'll be tainted with the eel. And we don't want to scare off other species. It's the sea slapping there, give me a bit of a shock. But there we go, that's good to go. So I'm going to get some bait back on it, chuck it back down. Well, what can I say? I've moved from the barren lands further up the arm to Strap Central. So if you're enjoying taps from the straps, I'd love it if you could give this video alike. And you never know, in a minute I might actually get one of the blighters over the side and landed on the wall. Well, I had what looks like a positive pull down on my strap scratching rod. I've only got lug on it at the minute because I'm down to 2 ragworm. And I'm going to save those for using in a minute. It's just gone high tide now. So I've still got a bit longer to fish, but sadly this ragworm will run out. I've got enough for one more hook load, which isn't very many, but I'm just going to lift into this and see if that little pull down resulted in anything. Nope, nothing on there. I've had a few drops with just the lug on. In fact, look, that lug on the top hook's been attacked. That's the first time on one of my drop downs the side that it's been the top hook that something munched on. But look, clear evidence of some activity on that. So I'll get that one rebaited and I'll chuck it back down. The other worm's only been out there for about 3 minutes, so that can stay. It's good to go out again. And there's no point putting fresh bait on just for the sake of it. So there we go. Well, we need a fish. Well, I've got something on here and it feels like it might be the sort of size that I'm going to struggle to get back up. Oh, we got a lobster. Let's see if I can get this up the wall. I'm going to get it back to me and ball it up. There we go. That's a first for everything. It is a lobster. Yeah, I'm filming for YouTube, so if you don't mind, if you're happy, and well, you're welcome to be in front of the camera if you don't mind being on YouTube.
Beautiful.
There we go, look.
Nice.
I don't want him to, it's gone right in his leg. I'm going to get my forceps and get him unhooked. So there we go, got some forceps. I'm going to try and get this hook out. There we go.
Wow.
Let's try and get a better look at him.
Yes, definitely.
There we go, guys. Lovely little lobster. First for me, that one. He's going to have it. So look at that, beautiful lobster. Not quite the conger I was getting earlier. Anyway, let's carry on fishing, see if we can get something else. So I'll just pick this up and there's some weight on it again. Let's see if I can get it moving. Oh, I think that was just a little bit of snaggy ground that I found there. Look at that, pulled a bit of the bottom up. Hey, that's not really what we want to catch, is it? We want to catch a fish. I wouldn't say no to a lobster again. So always nice to catch a lobster. Something's had a go at my bait there as well. I don't know if I'm close enough to the camera, but that is well mangled. I put my last 2 ragworm on that, along with a bit of lug. So all I've got left is lug. Anyway, I'll go and get a fresh worm, get it rebaited. Well, because I keep getting my bait nicked, I'm actually going to start sticking a little bit of elastic just above the eye of the hook and just below the eye of the hook. And that'll help hold these worms in place, make it a little bit harder for the bait robbers to get the worms off the hook. So I've got a fresh lug here for the bottom hook. Get that slid on. And find the end of the bait elastic. It's always easier when you're 20 years younger than I am. So there we go, just a little tiny bit. I don't need a lot because these are lovely fresh worms, but just a little bit, give it a bit of extra security. So let's get this drop back down and see if that bait elastic helps us get a hook up into a fish. Get that a bit better. It's better, I like it a little bit lower. I can see it better that way. Well, what can I say? We've reached the end of another session down Brighton Marina. I know I've been fishing here a little bit recently, but the water's full of rot, making the beaches pretty much unfishable. And this is a great venue in its own right. So I've had a few sessions down here. But what have we had today? Well, there was 3 straps I lost, including the one that was about that big and about that round, that I knew I was never going to get up the wall on my bream rig. Maybe next time I'll bring a drop net with me. And we had that beautiful lobster. Anyway, this is my last chuck. I'm just fishing straight down the side. You probably noticed as well I went down to 1 rod. Haven't been talking at all about the other one. It's because it's quite snaggy down in these lower bays. And earlier on I was getting a lot of bites within minutes of the bait being out on just this 1 rod. So I've just been fishing the one I ran out of ragworm ages ago, and since the tide turned at midday, it's been a bit quiet. It's now 10 to 2. I was going to pack up at 2 o'clock anyway to head home because I'm off out fishing again tomorrow. Anyway, if you've liked the video, please do consider clicking the like button, and if you can subscribe, that would be really appreciated. So until next time, guys.